Hello and welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for May of 2023. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kell Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
And I'm Julia Mijas, and I'm in San Francisco, California. Let's take a look at what's happening in May.
Well, Pisces, something rather momentous is happening right at the beginning of the month on the first day of May. And that is that Pluto, which has recently entered Aquarius, is going retrograde. And when Pluto moves into a new sign, it brings its themes of transformation and metamorphosis, death and rebirth, profound psychological change. And Pluto's been traveling along through Capricorn for more than a decade, bringing change to Capricorn's realm. In your chart, that has meant in the last decade, a lot of changes around your friendships, your community, the people that you feel a sense of belonging with, and your how you connect with those people online too. And Pluto is now moving into your 12th house. The 12th house is a house of dreams. It's a house of spirit. It's a house of retreat from life. It's a very private and house. It's a house of solitude and withdrawal. It's very much about inner worlds, also of imagination and art. Now, wherever Pluto goes, he brings transformation, and Pluto's really just going to tiptoe into the itty bitty beginning of your 12th house for a couple of months this year. But when Pluto goes retrograde, he's really thinking about moving back into Capricorn, and he's also signaling that this year there is a transformation beginning now and getting underway. So if you have anything in your chart, any planets at all between 27 degrees of Capricorn and 0 of Aquarius, or their corollary in the other cardinal and fixed signs, and I know I probably lost many of you when I said that rather complicated and buzzwordy sentence, but suffice it to say that transformation is afoot. And you might feel like it's stirring some of the deeper waters of your consciousness this month, and bringing up some stuff that had been buried for a long time, or maybe even has come down to you in the form of heritage karma or heritage trauma in your family system. So keep your eyes open for that stuff, and there may be more of it to come in the next decade. All right, so the next thing I want to go into is Juno. She starts the month in the very beginning here at the end of Taurus, but very quickly moves on into your 4th house and the sign of Gemini. Now, Juno is an asteroid goddess to do with committed relationship. And she is about partnership, collaboration, and she's a leader of teams as well. And her form of leadership is non-hierarchical. She likes to lead people through warm connections. She's a social maven and matchmaker. When she enters into your 4th house, which is the domain of home and family, domestic life, heritage, and roots, she brings her partnership orientation there. And so if you are married or you have a domestic partner, if you're in a long-term relationship and you live with that person, you're going to find that this relationship is feeling super domestic this month, and that you're really wanting to have a cozy home life with your partner. And you'll hear Julia speak to this too when she gets into Venus in a little while, as she's going to do. So very big themes about partnership and relationship at home, and how you make home a wonderful supportive nest for the both of you as a team and individually as well. If you're not in a partnership and you're in a looking mode, looking for somebody to be with, then this could be the sort of time, and it'll go on for another month or two, when you wouldn't really want to have dates out and about, but you might prefer to bring somebody home and just check out how it feels to have them in your home or see what their home life looks like, so that you can tell whether this relationship is going to deepen or not. And now what I want to talk about is Ceres. And Ceres has been retrograde for several months since the early part of May, and she's about to go direct this month. Hooray! This is wonderfully helpful and much anticipated, I have to say. Ceres covers the themes that connect us to the physical world, our food that we eat, the bodies that we live in, and our approaches to being in a body, our health and health rhythms, and also our finances too, and the things that make us feel secure. Ceres has gone retrograde and traveled into your seventh house, which has brought up a lot of these themes in your primary partnership. And so one of two things could be resulting here. If you're in a partnership, you may be wanting to line up how you eat with how your partner eats. In other words, you may want to be cooking together as a team, eating together as a team, and really looking into your mutual nutrition and how that can support your longevity together. Another thing that this might bring up is you might want to check with a consultant of some kind. That's what the seventh house is good for, especially because if you're single and you don't have a partner to consult with, you might want to seek out a health coach or a health professional to, like a nutritionist, to help you with your diet, or how you eat or your digestion, or help you untangle some snarls that have come up in your finances in the last several months as Ceres has undergone what I like to call a financial rebalancing period. All of these things are going to come to a nice sense of closure by the end of the month when Ceres exits her shadow period. And at that point, I think you may find yourself with a plan that you can utilize going forward to help keep all of these areas in good order. Hey, Julia, what's up with Mercury, Venus, and Mars for the Pisceans of the world this month?
Well, Pisces, we start the month with a Mercury retrograde, and Mercury retrogrades can be squirrely times in our life because Mercury represents our mind, it represents communication and thinking, and when it goes retrograde, all those things can go haywire. So this cycle is happening in your third house. This house actually represents pretty much the same thing that Mercury represents. It's a house of communication. It's a house of short journeys, like your commute, for example. And with Mercury retrograde here, you may be having miscommunications, oh Rama, at the start of the month. Since the third house is short journeys like your commute to work, there might be delays and traffic and other types of travel problems along the way. Maybe car issues, etc. So really try to plan a lot of time if you need to take trips. I think during the cycle would help out a lot. This house also represents your neighbors and your siblings. So you could also have a lot of miscommunications with them. Make sure to try to be as clear as you can when you talk to somebody, but, give a little space to go back over things if need be. By May 1st, so at the start of the month, Mercury is going to exactly conjoin the sun. And we call this Lesser Epiphany Day because Mercury is retrograde while this happens. And this can be a time of gaining insights, especially amidst all of these Mercury retrograde issues you've been having, during the cycle. So look, keep track of that day. You might get a little bit of clarity, maybe about some of the miscommunications you've been having, or third house can represent writing. So especially if you're doing any major writing project in your life too. Now, by May 14th, Mercury goes direct. I'd say give it about a week after for it to pick up speed in the sky so that we can say that the whole Mercury retrograde cycle, this particular one, it'll be kind of over by the end of the month. Now, Venus, everybody's favorite, she's the planet of pleasure and beauty and relationships, starts off the month in your fourth house. This house represents your family and home. So you're really just getting a lot of pleasure from being at home for the first week of the month. It's just such a nice, you'll feel more pleasure, a little more happiness, a little more harmony and peace and calm at home than maybe going out and doing things. This can be a nice transit in your relationship where you guys can just be homebodies together. It's a good time to maybe call up your mom, because this house represents family too, and connect with her in a pleasing way. Then by May 7th, Venus enters your fifth house. This is a house of dating. This is a house of fun and creativity too. So you can get really creative by May 7th onwards. If you're a creative type of any kind, if you like designing things or crafting things, this is also a house of hobbies too. So get out there and explore some new hobbies or go back to some of your old ones. And for the single Pisceans out there, May is going to be a great month for dating, especially after the 7th. So definitely keep that in mind. Now, Mars, interestingly enough, is going to be in the fifth house too, pretty much all month. So no, actually, yeah, for the first 20 days, he's going to be there in the fifth house. So Mars is going to actually add a little bit of contrast to Venus in there because they're overlapping for a couple of weeks. Mars in the fifth house means you're going to be very driven by fifth house activities. So if you're playing games, video games, or if you like trivia, you might be a lot more competitive. You might be, try to be a good sport if you can. This is not a great transit for gambling. Or betting any money. If you like betting money on sports or anything like that, you could hit a losing streak with Mars in the fifth. So if you do like to bet money, just put some boundaries around it and just realize that the act of betting money itself is fun and not the reward, but that might be hard to do with Mars in the fifth. And it can be a time of disagreements with your kids too. Maybe they're getting on your nerves a little bit more with Mars in the fifth. Try to do something fun with them. Try to get creative. Because Mars in the fifth might mean you're really driven by your creative pursuits, that you really get involved in your hobbies a lot too. Then by the 20th, Mars enters your sixth house for the last third of the month. This house represents your workplace, it's your health, it's your sense of order in general in your life, your routines. Now, Mars in the sixth might mean that, you get a little annoyed by people at the workplace. The sixth house is your job, your day-to-day work operations. So maybe there are people you're not getting along with. Maybe you have a client or a customer who really annoys you with Mars in the sixth. It can also be a little bit of a frustrating time in health, especially if you have anything chronic, like menstrual cramps or inflammation or anemia, because Mars rules blood. Some health stuff can sometimes crop up. Headaches are another thing with Mars. But Mars can also be super driven in the sixth house, super driven at work. Mars can be also driven to get more organized in your life too. So really try to take out all of that energy by putting more order in your life and actually getting energized by your routines. Come up with some good routines by the end of the month. Keep yourself busy with routines, and Mars in the sixth should go flowingly well for you.
So nice. Hi, Jamie here. I just wanted to say thank you for watching this video. And if you're enjoying it, please consider becoming a patron on Patreon. Your support helps keep this content free, and you can also get access to workshops where I will cast your chart live in the workshop. The link can be found in the description below. Thanks again, and let's get back to the video. So there are a couple of moons I want to tell you about, beginning with the first moon of the month, which is a lunar eclipse in Scorpio. Right here on May 5th, it lands in your ninth house. Now, the ninth house is a house of the higher mind, of philosophy. It's a house of travel, multiculturalism, the exotic. And when I think of this house, most particularly, I think of it as a house of meaning. This is the house of the seeker. Now, this is a lunar eclipse I'm telling you about, and lunar eclipses in general are difficult. They show us our shadow. They make us look at stuff that we don't like to look at on an everyday basis. They make us uncomfortable. Lunar eclipses in particular make us emotionally uncomfortable. They really stir the pot. And when a lunar eclipse happens in Scorpio, it can just bring up so many feelings of being vulnerable, out of control, even veering into paranoia, definitely some very intense emotions. And this landing in your ninth house is a real caution, I think, because this is the house of beliefs and our philosophy of life. And you may find that there are a lot of emotions being stirred up, and that you may be feeling like, why do bad things happen to me? I try to be good. I try to follow all the rules, and look what happens. Does God hate me? What do I need to do to express my ethics and my morals in life? And so a lot of emotional stuff may be stirred up around that. Now, opposite this moon, because a lunar eclipse is of necessity a full moon, opposite to it, we've got a couple of placements in Taurus that are balancing and grounding that really intense emotional moon, and calming it and soothing it, and helping it to just be a little bit more chill. And these are landing in your third house of communication. And there's such a big emphasis in that area with all these planets here in Taurus. And so it's not surprising to find a dynamic like this with a polarity, Scorpio versus Taurus, playing out in your relationships. It's possible that you will go into an emotional tailspin, wondering, what does it all mean when there's suffering in the world? And yet there's somebody in your life that communicates with you and pulls you back from the brink and helps you get grounded. And it's just as easy for that whole dynamic to be reversed, and for you to be the one who is talking somebody else down from a ledge. So watch out for those kind of experiences around this full moon lunar eclipse, which we have titled "You Are Not in Control." You can find out more about it in the video that we made, which is on our monthly forecast page at our website, pandoraastrology.com, along with the other video, moon video this month, which I'm about to talk about right now. That's the new moon in Taurus, and it's happening on the 19th. This one is not an eclipse because the lunar eclipse signals the end of eclipse season. Thank goodness that's done for another 6 months. But this moon lands in your third house, really bringing so much emphasis to the domain of communication, and asking you to, to smooth things out and calm them down, especially in the conversations that you have with other people. Now, this is really a lovely moon with tons of harmony in it. The sun and the moon here together have lovely harmonious aspects to Mars, to Ceres, to Neptune right here, and also to Pluto. And so we're calling this one Gradual Transformation Fuels Intuitive Action. And that really rolls all those themes together into a single thought. This moon is chill, it's relaxed, it's stabilizing, and under this moon you can transform, and it doesn't even have to hurt, which is really nice when we consider that Pluto entering your 12th house might be stirring up some, some family mysteries, even family secrets that you didn't know about when you were growing up, but begin to crop up now and over the next at least 10 years. And this moon could crack open the door into, into those mysteries in a way that, as I like to say with trines to Pluto, doesn't even have to hurt. Now, right after this moon happens, we have the seasonal change, and you'll see that there's a big pile of planets here in Taurus in your third house, emphasizing that third house theme of communication and learning. And on the 21st, the sun and the moon begin this gradual migration of planets over into your fourth house, which brings a lot of the emphasis to this realm. And the fourth house covers home, family, domestic life, heritage, and roots. The sun is the thing that brings light, heat, and life force energy to our whole our whole planet. It's the reason why we even are alive. And the sunlight that we receive on Earth is nourishing. And the corollary to that in our lives psychologically is attention. Your attention is nourishing. It helps things to grow and thrive. And when the sun moves into the fourth house, putting the nourishing sunlight of your attention into the realm of home and family is what you need to do. Things can get so much better when you put your high quality, positive attention on your home as a physical structure and the environment that it is for you, the nest that you live in, and look to optimizing it and making it such a nicer place for you and your family members to live in, to rest deeply in, and to be nourished by. And this is really a great thing to do during the next 30 days, starting May 21st, as the sun is passing along through this house. Just make your home the very best it can be for everybody that shares it with you.
Well, that's all for today. If you love Pandora Astrology's free and informative horoscopes, please do hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share our horoscopes with your friends.
We make these horoscopes for you for free, and if you appreciate it, supporting us on Patreon is the best way to show it. Share our horoscopes with your friends too. Enjoy your May, and until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos.
Bye-bye.